Hi, everyone. I just said hi, everyone again. I got to figure out a new thing to say.
What do you want to
say? Welcome to So What Now What TV, episode 14. And I'm bringing back the amazing, beautiful, hilarious, bold Gina. Rollman, but we call her Gina Lazarowski in my town.
That's right.
There she is. And we don't even really know what we're on to talk about tonight, other than the fact that we're both over quarantine. I'm over it. Yeah.
We have lots of gray hair too.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible.
We've each changed our look a couple times for this.
Oh, well, yeah. I have. Yes. But I wanted to say, I'm sorry that I wasn't on last night. I just was not feeling super so what, now what positive. And I have days like that. I have days where it's like, so what, now what? I'm going to sit on the TV and feel sorry for myself, or sit in front of the TV and feel sorry for myself, because I was just over it. You know, it's hard. I feel really sad for like the high school graduates that aren't having their thing, and all the people that are out of work, and, you know, work is not super easy for me right now, and Jason's not working, and it's stressful, and we have ants in the bathroom, and I was just like over it. Just over it. And I didn't feel like coming on and being super positive last night. So that's just part of life. So what, now what? Have a bad day. Just don't take it into the next day. That's really
right.
That's really how I felt. But Gina and I were going to come on and talk about a couple of things. And we're going to talk about something that's a little bit
oh, you're going
fragile. There. I am going to go here. Not fragile, just a slippery slope. And before I bring it up, I want to say, like, no judgment, just an observation. No judgment, no shaming, no nothing, just an observation. But I've noticed as I'm, you know, because my daughter is on TikTok, and my boyfriend's daughter is on TikTok, and my son's on TikTok, and I'm on TikTok, and I'm scrolling through TikTok, and I'm noticing how many people, and maybe they're just doing it for TikTok, I don't know, but how many people are just drinking the quarantine away, like, just maybe they're pretending they're drinking as much as they're drinking. Maybe they're not really drinking as much as they're drinking. But the thing that bothered me was not that they're drinking per se. Like, they're grown-ass adults. They make their own choices. But the majority of the people that are on TikTok are impressionable teenage kids, like preteens and teenage kids. And I was a little bit like, what are we telling them? Like, are we telling them that, yeah, when you're stressed, day drink, it's all good? And I know that, and like I said, this is no judgment. I have, you know, Trulies and wine in my kitchen, and I certainly indulge in a adult beverage every once in a while. But I think it's every once in a while. It's not something I do that much anymore. But it's like, what are we trying? Like, how do we message to our kids about alcohol, starting with, you know, mama juice, like the babies that are yelling mama juice? Like, it's funny and I've laughed, but is that really like good for them? And Gina, she deals with addiction and has, you know, a coaching addiction. And so I thought that this was a good topic to bring up, and we're going to try and be as gentle in this process.
No judgment.
Someone wants to say hi to you.
Messages. Hi, Margie.
So I had this, I was talking to Gina about it earlier, and of course Gina was like, and so I wanted to just come on and kind of talk about, like, where does alcohol in adolescence, like, where do we draw the line with that? Like, I don't know.
I mean, first, let's start with the very first thing. I do not believe in shame and guilt. The first thing I teach any of my clients, and I always taught when I worked inpatient, there is no shame and guilt in this. Like, you'll have time to deal with what you've done as your behaviors while you were using, but in order to recover, you can't live in shame and guilt, and you can't live in that place of shame and guilt. So I'm not giving anyone shame and guilt. I don't believe that helps anyone in any situation whatsoever. So whatever comes out of my mouth, and sometimes it says things that I don't necessarily filter well. There's no shame and guilt. If you drink, you drink. I don't really give a shit. I just care about sort of the messaging, right? Like that's what I said to you today. Because you were like, because you came a little bit like at me about like, well, like I drink. And I was like, okay. And it's not about that. It's about just the messaging. It's just messaging. And I think when someone hears someone like me talk about addiction and alcoholism, they think, oh, no, not me. Okay, that's cool. But we're raising these kids and they're drinking. My kids have already told me they're in high school, and in middle school, the kids were drinking and smoking and doing all kinds of stuff already. And I was like,
tell everybody how old your kids are and like kind of what your kids, like what's your story with the kids, your kids?
So they're twins. They're boy, girl. They're 15 and a half. And I was working at age 6. I went back to work and I worked as a substance abuse counselor on an adolescent inpatient unit. So I saw heroin before anyone else knew it was coming. Like I was back in 2009 working inpatient. And when I keep stressing the inpatient because if a kid 14 to 18 comes into our facility, you have to ask yourself, like, what was the messaging there? And the kids were all different kinds of kids. They were like from well-to-do families. They were educated families, private school kids, kids that came from the city. I had kids from DC, like all of it. It's everyone. It hits everyone. And when I would speak to them, I always said, teach me how to be a better parent. Teach me, answer this question. It was one of their assignments I always gave them. Tell me the best way for me to raise my kids so they don't start drinking and drugging too young. And they were like, just be honest with them. They want boundaries. They want rules. They're going to buck, but just always give them rules. Because a lot of these kids, their messaging was their dads or their moms or their grandparents or a step parent was abusing something in the house. And while it was hidden for most of their life, they got to an age where they weren't stupid to what using looked like. And so by the time they got to my life, their idea was it was the only solution to when things get tough was to get high. And so I made a very, very big effort to start teaching my kids at age 6, like where I was, what I did, who I worked with. Because I worked in a hospital. They were like, oh, are they sick? And it was hard to like really get it to them. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to go there because there were commercials on TV all the time for alcohol. I mean, it's just it's a way of life. So I was like, all right, well, let's start with this is this, and this is what they do. Why do they do that? Why do they drink so much of cough medicine? Or why are they drinking alcohol if they're young? Because they're so young, and you just tell them their age level appropriate. And then as we were getting closer to 5th and 6th grade, I realized like I met a kid once who told me he was 10 years old the first time he shot heroin because he had an older sibling and they weren't watching and he just got into it. And it was sort of like that started 10 years old. They say the frontal lobe doesn't develop until we're 24-ish, give or take a couple years either direction. So our emotional maturity is stunted once we start using. So what I tried to teach my kids is, hold off. You don't have to drink in high school. It's not necessary to have fun. Your life isn't that stressed out. Like you're not working 80 hours a week. You're not a lawyer. You're not a blue collar worker who's like busting their ass in the heat. You're not any of those people. So why would you need to like drink? Why? So like, can you just let your brain develop? Can we just get to 18 and let your brain get to 18? Because an 18-year-old has a better shot than a 10-year-old or a 14-year-old who's using alcohol and drugs to feel better, to cope with their life, right? We don't want alcohol to be something we cope with life. We want it to be something we enjoy with life. Right? Like I don't drink. So, I just decided I'm not going to be a drinker.
Right.
I don't need it. I prefer to eat my calories.
I like to have a chocolate cookie and a glass of wine. I mean, and I admittedly, am I a drinker? I wouldn't say I'm a drinker. I would say, yes, I drink alcohol and I don't think usually, is this too much? Like there's times where I'm like, but it's almost like I can't even put my words together. 2 is fine. 3 leads to problems. 3 leads to hangovers. 3 leads to eating too much. I think it's just, for me, it's like, if I want to live the life that I want to live, if I want to have the physique or the physicality that I want to have, it's just not a great choice to be drinking all the time. And quite frankly, the hangovers are not the same that they used to be.
No, of course not. But you realize like alcohol is the single worst substance we put in our body. It's literally poison. Like it literally affects every organ of the body. Like it literally is the worst thing. That's why there's things like hangovers. That's why there's alcohol poisoning. That's why like kids are failing out of colleges at alarming rates. They're making it there for like a semester, maybe two with probation. And then all of a sudden, you know, like, oh, we have a problem. Like you've lost your ability to be in college at this point. And the parents are like, what happened? And then the kid comes into my office, and when I look at it, I'm like, okay, so you have to take all the alcohol out of the house for a while. Like, you know, like there's got to be, well, it's okay if he drinks, you know, he has a pot problem, or, you know, he's doing pills, but if he wants to drink, that's okay. And I don't necessarily believe that. And it's my belief system, and I'm not promoting abstinence. I'm promoting good messaging for kids. That's really, I could go off on this. I could go off on this for hours and hours and hours. But I just want our messaging to be better.
We talked about this before we even came on. Like, I don't want anyone who's watching to feel like if they're watching us with a glass of wine that there's something
enjoy
something wrong. Like it's not. I think it's more for me that was a little bit concerning was the way some of the adults on TikTok are making it look like it's a okay coping strategy to be an all-day drinker. You and this hair.
I know, people. I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So that's really what I said to Gina. I was like, I just is it weird that I'm a little bit like, like, do I want to make a video like that? Like, I don't.
You were like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Like, I don't want to make people feel a certain way. I don't either. Like, that's not my game. I worry about these young people. I've worked with them for so long. And, you know, when they finally, everyone's willing to look at it as a problem for these young people because they don't have the ability to process chemically all that stuff. Yeah. You know, like we're talking about a substance that if we take one shot or a glass of wine, like we feel that. So when you have these little people, and I say little because, you know, I was going to say I'm 50. I'm 49. And like, I remember being young and I remember all the stupid shit I did. And I think that I always say this, I forget that I'm 49 because I think I'm still like 17. Like when I really started partying, like I feel like sometimes the way I react to things is like a 17-year-old. Like, that's not good. That's the emotional maturity of these kids. Like, what are we teaching them? Are we teaching them, hey, let's enjoy some alcohol? Or are we teaching them that it's 5 o'clock, I've worked all day, my boss is an asshole, and can I say that?
Yes.
Okay. My boss is an asshole, my kids suck today, you know, my ex-husband is busting my chops, or, you know, my girlfriend like dissed me, or my nail tech couldn't get me in, my hair's an ass. Like, it's all, I need to drink, or I'm bored, I need to drink. What's that message? What's the message? Like, I give my kids projects. They're like, I'm bored. Oh, looks like you need another project if you can't entertain yourself.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday, Jason and I fasted for the majority of the day. And I found myself like, what am I going to do if I don't eat? Like, that it's not even that I'm hungry all the time. It's like a habit. So I think that alcohol, what happens with drinking too, is it's right now people are I'm a little bit worried about the people that are creating a habit right now because they don't have to drive anywhere. They're not going to their office and they're creating a happy hour habit that is going to turn, like you've said earlier today, like it turns into a chemical reliance, right?
Of course. I mean, you can, I don't even know how to say this without getting myself. Yes. Like someone can just drink every day 2 glasses of wine, but if you take away that wine after whatever amount of time, can they function physically, or are their hands shaking? Because it is a withdrawal. There's a withdrawal that goes with that. So, and again, like I don't want to even get into all of the day drinkers. Like, have fun. Like, do whatever you're doing. Again, we're going back to messaging. What are we teaching our adolescents? Like, I think if they had experienced the 10 years that I've been working with alcoholics and addicts, like my specialty are the youngsters. Like, I won't work with anyone under 18 anymore because I really struggle with the, it's hard to put kids that struggle with substance abuse into homes that the parents can't or won't or don't know how to create healthy boundaries. So I really struggled with that when parents were not able to follow through with like not drinking themselves or taking the marijuana out of the house. And you can't really set up a kid for success like that. So I just got away from them. But then they come into me when they're like 18, 19, 20, 25, 27, 30, and they're still thinking like a 15, 16-year-old, making decisions that way. They're, you know, at this point shooting heroin or fentanyl, and it's like out of control. And I just wonder, when I go back and we look at sort of the family of origin and what they were brought up with, the messaging, you know, like when they leave, say, a treatment facility and they've been in an incubator for a couple weeks, just being protected in this bubble, and they go out, what they realize is that the whole world drinks and it's celebrated and encouraged and it's rites of passage. And it's like, you know, their questions are, what do I do when I'm 21? What do I do when I get married? And my instant reaction is why do you have to drink on your 21st birthday? My first job in life, before I became who I am today, I was a bartender for a long time. And looking back on that experience, I think about all the people that were my regulars, the people I waited for to come in because they would tip me well and like we knew each other and they were always at my shift. I thought it was just because I was a good bartender, but they were there because they were going to be there whether I was the bartender or not. Right. It had nothing to do with me, right? And so when I think about those people, I think, wow, like that was my bread and butter. That's how I knew I would make money off of those people, right? And then I go and I work in this facility and I look around at these people and I just, the messaging, it's always the messaging. They can't get away from it. Maryland crabs. What do you drink with Maryland crabs? You drink beer. And so that's one of their questions. What do I do if I can't drink beer with my crabs? Drink ginger ale. What about water? How about that? And they can't, their brain won't process that crabs don't need beer.
Well, I don't even know. So if I was to be honest about my, I think I'm resistant to someone telling me what I can't do.
No, I think we all are.
So I think that
we're not telling addicts what to do. Trust me. We don't tell them. They have to come in willing. They have to be willing.
What I'm saying is like, I do better on a diet or a workout plan or something when I've decided to do it.
Oh yeah.
Not something like I decided not to eat yesterday because I wanted to give my body a break. But that was a decision that I made for myself, not that someone told me. You have to have the right leverage. You have to have the right reason why, right? So I think a lot of people struggle with, well, alcohol doesn't affect me negatively. Why would I stop? But if I'm really, really honest with myself, when I have too much to drink and I don't remember exactly the end of the night, that terrifies me. It terrifies me. Now, does that happen very often? No, but it happened enough. Like it happened last year a couple times over the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the experience, right? And again, I could give a shit what people do. I don't care unless I love you. I don't care what you do. Like, do you? But the messaging to kids, like, I know my son can't wait. I know he can't wait to be like an adult and be able to drink. And so I look at him and I just let him know, like, I have a lot of alcoholics in my family and I just don't ever want that to happen to him. So what I explained to him is that there is proof out there that the longer you wait before you ingest your first alcohol, the better off you are. Now, I don't know if that's hardcore proof. Any research study can prove anything if you pick the right variables and, you have the right sample. But it does make sense. It really does make sense. Like, why do we have to drink in high school? Like, and when I say drink, I mean, these kids are getting rip-roaring drunk already.
Oh, yeah, we did. I did.
Yeah, but I didn't go to college right away. Like, I thought I knew everything. I went really the hard way through life. And I just would like my kids to not have to do that. Like, I feel like I'm doing everything and I have to stop saying like. Every time I say like, you better slap me or do something.
That's you, but I have social distancing.
I think that I don't even know what I was saying anymore. I got so obsessed with the fact that I just used the word like 5 times.
No worries. No worries. I think the conversation that I have with my kids is, well, that I'm going to put you in a box till you're 40 and you can't date or drink or do anything. But I think I try to be honest with them and have real conversations with them about, drinking leads to other things. It leads to getting in car. It's not so much, it is the drinking, but it's what you do when your inhibitions are down. It's what you allow to happen in your life. It's about the car that you get in. It's about the people that you hang out with, the decisions you make because you just don't care or you're just not thinking.
You know how many kids have told me they've driven with their parents from a party and they knew their parents had drank too much? And I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I don't even know what to say to that because I get it. I get why people do it. They think, oh, it's just 2 streets down or it's just in the neighborhood. And it's the messaging again. Like, how do we rightfully stand in front of our children? And this whole, I'm an adult, listen to me, doesn't work. We know that. So if we're sending them out into the world and the modeling behavior that we've given them is, it's okay to drink and drive if it's a short distance, or it's okay to say, I need to drink to cope with my life. Like that messaging, like I want us to, like, I don't have to do that for my daughter. I have very blessed, so far, so good. Everyone can call me out on it if she goes the wrong way. But like I said to her, we always have these great conversations about addiction. And we actually had one the other day, and I'm not sure if we videoed it because she vlogs. And I was like, that was so great. We should go and talk to Michelle about what you just said and the communication you and I have about drugs and sex and all the things that I want. I've taught my kids everything that I possibly can to dispel any myths about drugs, alcohol, and sex. There's nothing that has not been talked about in this house. Not a thing.
Because and I think that's the whole so what, now what, like, so what? They're going to drink, they're going to have sex.
Yeah.
Now what? How are we going to prepare them for the ability to make the decision? So one of the things that I was walking yesterday and I was listening to Glennon Doyle and Untamed, and I just, she's my spirit animal. And she will be yours too soon, Gina. She was talking about, a lot of, and I've said this myself. And when I heard this, I was like, shit, I got to re-message that being brave is being afraid and doing it anyway. Now, do I really want to say to my kids, guys, when you go to a party, when you're in high school and all your friends are drinking or they're about to get in a car where someone's been drinking, if you're afraid, just be brave. Do it anyway. Like, if you're afraid, do it anyway. Like, ignore your fear. Like, that's basically the message. That message of brave is ignore your fear. Like, ignore what's happening and just do it anyway.
Well, no, the fear really isn't about getting in the car. They have no fear when it comes to getting in the car.
No, I'm just saying in general.
Their fear is being judged. No, but their fear is being judged.
But I'm saying,
to be judged.
So being brave is feeling the fear and being willing to make a decision that's not popular.
Absolutely.
So being brave is saying no when that's what you really want to say, no matter what anyone else thinks about it, or saying, yes, I'm leaving when it's not popular. So I really want to re-message to my kids what being brave is being brave is being loyal and true to yourself.
Yes.
To listening to your gut, to listening to that voice inside you that knows better, or listening to that, the example that Glennon used was she has 2 daughters and one of them's like, really like just doesn't give a shit about anything. Like, she has a huge confidence. She's like really confident. And it was like time for them to get their ears pierced. And this little girl sat down in the chair and she's like, just do it. And then she was like all powered about it. And the little one was like, eh. And everyone's like, oh, be brave, be brave, be brave. And she's like, Mommy, I'm just not ready. I'm not ready. And the fact that she stood in her truth, that she's not ready, was actually her being brave versus getting up in the chair and doing it anyway because everyone else was telling her, oh, that's brave. And I was like, I absolutely love that because, if my son is in a situation where, he's a rule follower as of now. And there's part of me that really hopes that stays with him.
I think they're just naturally going to stick with that.
Yeah. So, but when he's in a situation where, the pull to be cool and the pull to be accepted is sometimes probably going to be just as strong as that pull to stay true to yourself. So I think the messaging that I want to give them is really trust your gut, really listen to yourself, be brave enough and loyal enough to yourself that you're going to listen to that voice inside of you, no matter what's happening. And I think that is going to happen with alcohol and drugs. And to be brave enough to say, no, I'm not interested, or to walk away from it. Being brave is not being afraid and doing it anyway. Being brave is staying true to who you are and saying yes to yourself.
Yes, that's the hope. It just scares me. I've always been afraid of my children dying. That's always been one of my biggest fears. And so I want to give them everything and all the tools that I know. Oh my God, it's starting to rain. That would be a luck.
I know an umbrella. You could sit under an umbrella.
Oh, I have one, but it's not hooked up. Logan, can you bring me my umbrella? It's kind of fun. I'm under the trees right now, so it's not hitting me, but I can hear it. What were we talking about, Michelle?
We're talking about you're afraid your children are going to die.
I've always had that fear, right? So I've always parented from a place of letting them know all of the things first, like preparation. This is it's gonna be like. Like when they went off to high school, I was like, people are gonna ask you to do things and go places with them. Like, I just want to know where you are at all times, and they're struggling with that, right? So I try to make it really real. Oh my God, wait till you see my umbrella.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
It really is. It's from the South. My mother-in-law bought it. No thanks. The vase is broken. Yes. Wait, look.
Oh my God! It's a parasol. That's so good.
I know, right? Okay, so, well, that's funny. My son just walked away. We were just talking about the message of alcohol and drugs in your life.
Okay.
Wait.
I have my own message.
Can you guys hear him?
Okay.
Here, come here.
Okay, so
Come here.
Hi everyone, my name is Logan. I am 15 and I go to Browning High School. So a cop was in our neighborhood. His name is Officer Marcos. I don't know when he was here. It was like a few weeks ago before this all quarantine started. But he told me that the senior got arrested for dealing at the Y near the gym. And he had a lot of money and he was selling pot to all these other grades, and it was really bad. And it made me change how active drugs were in our community and in our school. And I was taking guitar at school, and I go to the bathroom and I find a bag of pot and a jewel pod. And it was crazy to me because you see adolescents use drugs all the time, and they either learned it from somewhere, someone peer pressured them into it, or an adult doesn't care about them that much, so they turn to that they turn to alcohol and substances.
This is the proudest moment of your life, Gina.
So they turn to substances and alcohol, or I don't know what else they could turn to, but they turn to anything they feel could help them ease the pain.
That's right. What is your motto about alcohol and drugs? What do you think your choices are going to be like?
You've told me this many times that until I'm out of the house, I don't care what you do when you're out of my house. Just make sure you don't do drugs or alcohol when you're living under my roof.
And I mean that.
Right. My motto is stay away. I mean, people get killed from overdosing, and
we lost that little boy up the street from an overdose.
Yeah.
So Logan, what are you? So if that's what they're doing to like ease the pain and stuff, what are you going to do instead? What's going to be what's your so what now? Like, what are you going to do instead? Like, what's now what? Okay, so all these kids are doing drugs. What are you going to do? How are you going to get through that part? What are you going to focus on?
So I try to focus on school. I don't like it.
But he's good.
And I try to
work out,
ease the aggression I have from all this social, not distancing, just social activity, because people make you angry all the time. It's annoying. I like very few people. I have one best friend who I trust the most with my life. I've known him since 6th grade, and he moved, and I still contact him, and I go over to his house. And I try to. I obsess on girls sometimes, so that also that's my addiction.
Would you do drugs with a girl?
No.
Why?
Because drugs are idiotic. They deteriorate the brain from you.
Did you hear that?
I did.
From my mother, they kill brain cells and stop your growth because your brain's always growing. Isn't it growing to like 26? How old
Your
is it?
frontal lobes doesn't finish developing until your 20s.
And so when kids my age or younger or older, because I know kids at middle schools do drugs, it's terrible there. Like the middle school I went to was really bad. Like kids were.
You went to Severn River, or did you go to McAfee?
McAfee. Severn's pretty bad. Like, didn't they have a kid arrested at 14 for posting guns and stuff? It was really bad.
Some kid took a knife out on my daughter. When my dad was on his deathbed,
He
this
stabbed
kid
me.
he took out a knife on my daughter. I was like, what?
You know
What?
You know what? It's for circles to draw perfect circles.
Compasses.
Whatever they're called. Yeah,
Yeah.
those. So he has a sharp point and he sticks it in my back, and I have a mark on my back. And the kid next, friend of mine, his name is CJ. You know him. This kid used the same item, a compass, and dragged across his arm. And he has a major scar from it. Like, kids are really messed up because his dad walked out on him. His mom abuses alcohol.
We don't know that for sure, but that's what we assume. But see, there's that messaging again, or lack of messaging.
And
Yeah.
so,
Well, Logan, I'm proud of you. I think you need to stick to your guns and be brave enough to be like, stay in your truth.
Yeah, like,
and be a good role model for all those little. My son's gonna be in 7th grade next year, so
it's nice.
you know.
They'll enjoy. Middle school was rough because it's like a transition from like awkward prepubescent to high school. And it's 8th grade is like probably the best year of all the years because like it's that final year, you're getting out. Like, I didn't like my middle school only because of the teachers. The vice principal, I don't like.
Catch.
Gonna censor
live.
him.
I know she's live.
In the area.
Oh, okay. Hi, people in the area.
Hi, people in the area.
When people abuse drugs, they're trying to ease the pain and like I said, ease the pain.
What is the pain though? What do you think? What in your mind, in your
I know this doesn't happen often, but parents do abuse their kids. Sometimes it happens. It's very, I wouldn't say rare, but it's uncommon, but it does happen. So kids can either turn to drugs, or they're just influenced by friends or classmates.
What about like when girls like break up with her, like breakups? Does that happen?
Yeah,
like
girls are really rough. I mean, when
girls are really rough.
I got stories, but I can't really share.
Yeah, we don't have that much time, Logan. We'll have to get together another time.
We should do another one with the kids.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know girls that do drugs because they don't know how to deal with their anxiety, so they take pills. They drink. I have this one girl. I'm not gonna say her name because she's a friend.
Don't.
Yeah, we're not saying names.
But she's going out during this time right now and stealing her parents' car, drinking and driving, and also smoking. Who knows what?
She's 15.
Yeah, she's my age. I think she's 15, but younger than me.
So are you a sophomore?
I'm a freshman right now, but sophomore.
You're gonna be a sophomore. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Logan, I appreciate you.
Oh,
thanks for coming out and bringing the umbrella.
Thank you. I don't know what to say.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. There you go.
Well, that was a nice little pop quiz. You get an A, son. You get an A.
Yeah, good job, Gina.
That was cute.
You know what the proof, what that is really proof of is that they are listening. And so it's really important what you're messaging to them. So
I just want them to buy into they don't have to drink yet. And when you do, you don't have to drink. You don't have to drink to that excess.
No.
We said this earlier. If you do drink, it should be enjoyed. It shouldn't be your coping skill to cope with life.
It's something like you enjoy a glass of wine or you enjoy your beer with your crabs, but not because you're bearing some other pain. So
Oh my God, I'm just so impressed with my son right now.
You should be.
Mm.
You should be.
Yeah, so we were talking about messaging. I think we run a little. I don't think that there's a lot that we can say about it except for messaging, because if we start getting into all the nooks and crannies.
No, I mean, that was really what was on my heart, is like, I just want to know if I was like alone and thinking, what are we telling people here?
I think it really was fun for these families to do TikTok, because that's all kids
Oh
do.
yeah, I mean,
I think they had a blast.
I've done a couple.
And I know I
TikToks.
can't dance without alcohol. Like, I'm that person. This is going to come off weird, but I am such a socially anxious person in situations that if I wasn't drinking, I was not dancing. If I wasn't drinking, then I wasn't being a social butterfly out in society. And it's nice. Like, I'm a little less social, but I now can have a conversation without worrying so much. And that's kind of the benefit for me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what all we were trying to say is, like, it's important that, they're watching us, they're listening to us. So
they know more than we give them credit for.
Well, and just think of, just be aware. Like, the only thing that I wanted to do with this conversation tonight was just to bring some like awareness, and that it's really important, especially like as summer starts and people are on boats and everyone's, drinks more in the summer. And, what I wanted to do on Mother's Day. I wanted to lay on the dock and have a couple Trulies. That's what I want to do.
I don't even know what that is. I haven't had a drink in so long. But here's my question.
It's a spike seltzer.
Here's my less calories.
Just not as
much sugar calories. I'd like to challenge everyone to see if they can do family stuff for, like, I would like to say 30 days. 90 days is the ultimate, what I ask people if they walk in my door. If someone walks in my door and I'm doing their sort of, what are they looking to do? What are they willing to change? I say, okay, give me 90 days. And they're like, 90 days? There's no way. I have July's coming up, or vacations, or it's the holidays. All right, so can you give me 60? No, because I have a wedding. I'm going on a bachelor's party. Okay, can you give me 30? I have not met someone who really has been able to do that that's come into my office. I don't know what people do. I heard you said something about dry January.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a cool thing that people are at least trying for their health. It's a great month to do it. But what did I say to you when you said, oh, I did dry January? I was like, all right, well, give me a dry July.
Right.
Can you give me a dry July? Can you do a family activity where you're not like losing your shit because you're not drinking? Like, that's a real question.
Well, yeah,
and I know that's gonna piss people off.
I do it all the time. And I don't necessarily, I mean, I do it all the time where I don't have a drink, because honestly, I don't want to feel it in the morning. But there are times where, for me, it's a health thing. For me, yeah. And it's also, I've had enough mornings where I wake up and I was like, ooh, how did that night end? I don't like that.
No, and I think, what I think scares me the most is the kids that go to college and that die. For what reason? Because they don't have the ability to just drink socially, whatever that means for people who drink. Whatever socially means. We have kids that are literally dying and going to the hospital. I would love to know the numbers.
Well, and so the thing that I'm curious about too is that a lot of times what they say is the reason that people go to college and get crazy is because they weren't allowed to drink when they were in high school.
Okay. So what's the messaging? Go to college and like.
No,
like right?
What I'm saying is that when it's almost like it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's now allowed. It's like you can do it. It's been held back from you. It's like it's a novelty. Like you've been putting it off for so long, they like need to catch up or something. So it's that alcohol has been such a don't do it,
Taboo
don't do
subject?
it.
Right.
It's a don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then when they're on their own and they're allowed to do it, they don't have any kind of, there are parents. I think, I think when I first had a drink, I think it was with my mom wanted to be wanted to be present in that. So I think I think it depends on how you were raised without, like I said, my family don't have alcoholism in my direct family. It was not something where my dad got wasted every night and had too many Coors Lights, or my mom had too much Chardonnay. Like it just wasn't, it wasn't like that. Was there drinking did they drink? Yes. But I don't ever remember, I don't ever remember it being an issue. And I think my parents were like, if you're going to do it, we want you to do it so we can observe you. So
yeah, I get that. I totally.
So when you go to college, you don't find yourself you've been so isolated from it that now you go bananas.
Well, I think the kids have a nice dynamic because their father, he drinks. But see, because the messaging in my house is different. Like, I think one time he said something like, I can't wait to get drunk this weekend so I can forget some problem he was having. And my kids were like offended. Don't talk like that, right? Like, don't say that.
It's definitely messaging. So I'm glad we had the conversation. I think it's definitely something to kind of self-evaluate, where are you with it? Where, how do you handle it? How do you talk about it? I don't have high school kids yet. Mine are middle schoolers.
Well, don't forget. Oh, look, I look scary. Don't forget though that the messaging starts even younger though, because they already know. Like, there's commercials on all the time about alcohol.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I'm just not. They're not in that. They're not. Not that we don't talk about it. It's just they're not exposed quite yet.
I know. It's no time there. It's just crazy. He's going to middle school, or he's in middle school?
He's in middle school.
Yeah. Well, I think sixth graders, they keep them nicely divided. Like, I substituted the middle school, right? And it was shocking to me to see the age difference between a sixth grader and an eighth grader. Like, those eighth graders are just ready. They're just ready for the next level. And to hear that they were already drinking. I mean, there was a kid that was arrested for marijuana in there. And I was like, wow, you're bringing that kind of quantity to school? Yeah.
Well, I think we beat this one up.
I could go longer. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Well, so you guys just think about it. It could be a so what, now what moment for you. It could be so what, I've been drinking too much. Now what? Maybe I'm going to make a shift. Maybe it's better I'll tell you, lose weight. Alcohol makes you fat.
Right. Well, here's the thing. What if this isn't about the masses that are listening, or that will listen? Because I believe 1 million people are listening to this right now.
Yeah, there's nobody.
But what if it's about that one person? But what if there's one person that hears this and goes, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if that is the whole point of doing this So What Now at TV, is not for the masses that I'm trying to listen to me talk. It's for the
millions of people that are watching.
So it's for those few people that are getting nuggets out of anything that we say during these times, and just to be vulnerable and put it out there and not be guarded in our thinking, and just to kind of say, hey, like this is normal. These are the things I think about. And if you think about them too, if I think about them, someone else is probably thinking about those too. So just everyone be well. Take a moment to kind of look at your habits and what you're doing and what your messaging is. And if it's great, if it's safe, then it's safe. If it's not, just reevaluate. And there's plenty of people out there that can help and talk to. And you can reach out to either one of us to ask questions and kind of reevaluate where you think you are. But we love you, and we're going to say goodnight. And I'll see you next Monday, and I'm sure we'll see Gina again. Thanks, guys.